All right. So my name is Rita Fleming. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to host this call today about regenerative health and the 6 pillars of regenerative health. And so first, I want to dive into what is regenerative health. And really, that's our body's ability to repair, heal, regenerate. And that is based on the principles of chemistry and physics. And once we understand the chemistry and the physics of our body, we can understand how the body repairs and heals. So we have two main fluids in our body. We have our blood, which nourishes every cell. And then we have our lymphatic system, which is our waste system or our elimination system for all toxins and congestions and wastes. And that lymphatic system can get backed up. And so, what happens when the lymphatic system gets backed up is the cells do not get their proper hydration, their proper nutrition, and they start to bind together. So, lymphatic congestion in the body creates an acidic environment. And when our cells are in an acidic environment, it's an anionic environment. It's where everything is binding together and stuck together. So if you were to look under a microscope at your blood in an alkaline environment, the cells would be free flowing. You'd be able to get nutrients. Hi, Katie. But go ahead and mute you. I don't everything. Okay. So in an alkaline environment inside the body, these cells are able to get proper nourishment and nutrition. In an acidic environment, they're all clumped together. And again, that creates this environment where the cells are actually degenerating. And so we really want to address those two fluids of the body and systems, because A, we want to really nourish ourselves. That's how they rebuild and regenerate. And B, we want to clean up our cells. And so we have 4 main elimination pathways in our body. We have our bowels, we have our skin, that's what we're sweating through. We have our kidneys, that's how we're eliminating lymphatic congestion and lymphatic waste through the kidneys, through the urine. And then we have our lungs, and so we're actually eliminating toxins out of our lungs as well. And so the first step, let me just add a couple people in here. In regenerative health is getting the body in the proper chemistry. And so environmental pollutants can add to an acidic environment in the body, but also the food that we're eating, our diet. And so your only alkaline.
Where do you want to face? Sun or this way?
Let's just have everybody come on mute when you hop in. So when you are nourishing your body, the foods can either be on the acidic side or the alkaline side. And that alkaline side is when we get into regeneration and tissue repair. These are your hydrating foods. They're high water content, such as your fruits, your berries, your melons, your herbs, and your veggies. And the reason that they're alkaline forming is because they have alkaline minerals. And these alkaline minerals go towards rebuilding as well as eliminating wastes and toxins and lymphatic congestion out of the body. And then we have our acid forming foods, which currently makes up the majority of most people's diet. And this includes processed foods, refined complex sugars, refined carbohydrates, foods that are widely and easily accessible and prevalent. So really what we want to do to get into a state of regeneration is get at least 80% alkaline and only 20% acid forming foods. So again, your alkaline forming foods are primarily your fresh fruits and your veggies. So that is speaking a little bit to our elimination systems. So our main elimination systems are our kidneys, our bowels, our skin, and our lungs. And that is so important to get those elimination systems open. So really focus on, sweating if you can, getting to a sauna, doing dry brushing, doing deep breathing, working with the gut, working with herbs that are moving the bowels and making sure that it's pulling lymphatic congestion out of the body, and kidney filtration. And I just really want to speak to kidney filtration for a moment because that's actually what got me into regenerative health. So I discovered regenerative health through Dr. Robert Morse, and it was because I was looking for a pathway of healing. I had tried absolutely everything, and I was trying to regenerate my body from chronic pain from a near death car accident. And so I tried everything and I still had that chronic pain. And it wasn't until I learned about kidney filtration that everything shifted for me. And so, what we found is that most people's kidneys are not filtering because there have been so much congestion over the years and so much burden as far as toxicity goes, environmentally and otherwise. And so that builds up. And when those kidneys are not filtering, it builds up into that lymphatic system. So first goal of cellular regeneration is getting those kidneys filtering. And that's through a combination of fresh fruits and herbs, as well as rest. And now our adrenal glands and our kidneys work together. So our adrenal glands are part of our endocrine system, and our endocrine system must be healthy and nourished in order to really thrive. Our endocrine system performs so many of the functions of our hormones and our neurotransmitter production, our calcium utilization and absorption, the production of corticosteroids to address inflammation in the body, reproductive health. Like, your endocrine system is so important, and endocrine weakness contributes to at least 70%, 75% of chronic disease. So supporting our endocrine system is foundational. And the ways to support our endocrine system start with what we already talked about, is understanding chemistry and physics, understanding how to alkalize the body and how to open up those elimination pathways, because we are trillions of cells and two fluids. And so long as those cells are getting nourished, A, they're eating, and B, they're eliminating wastes, the cells are going to be happy and healthy and energized. And that's what leads to a healthy endocrine system. That's what leads to a healthy liver. That's what leads to vibrant skin, So really, we're getting back to that cellular level of how do we nourish ourselves at the cellular level. And that goes back to getting into that right chemistry. So those are kind of the foundational principles. And then for endocrine system health, it's working with herbs and fruits and superfoods and veggies to really restore that endocrine system balance. So as long as we have healthy cells, we're going to have a healthy endocrine system. And for instance, when there's lymphatic congestion in our thyroid or our parathyroid, we're going to see a lack of calcium utilization and absorption, which can lead to such things as varicose veins, prolapsed organs, scoliosis, osteoporosis. And so it's really important to keep all of our systems healthy. If our adrenal glands have lymphatic congestion, or they're weakened, or they're in that acidic state, they're going to start to weaken. That's the root cause of why our adrenal glands and our endocrine system weaken, is that acidic environment. It starts to break it down. It starts to create inflammation. It starts to weaken those cells. So the way to build and restore those cells is to get into that alkaline environment where the cells are oxygenating and they're energizing and they're getting nourished. So when we see adrenal weakness and lymphatic congestion there, we see such things as anxiety, loss of memory, lack of concentration. We see excessive shyness and a lot of neurological weaknesses, such as Parkinson's and autism and all different kinds. So really supporting the adrenal glands is foundational to get those kidneys filtering. So in our pillars of health, we have the endocrine system that we really need to take care of. We have getting the body into an alkaline environment. And then we have our gut microbiome health. And the reason this is so important is because our gut microbiome actually communicates to the mitochondria in our cells. And again, cellular regeneration starts with the cells. And if we don't have a healthy gut microbiome, our cells are not going to be able to regenerate or create enough cellular ATP or cellular energy. And so, gut microbiome health, we've been learning so much more just in the last 5 years of how important having a diversity of microorganisms in the gut is. And what we've been seeing is really what has impacted it the most comes back to our agriculture practices. So in the 80s, we started to spray by mass amounts glyphosate into our environment. And glyphosate is a pesticide which kills off, an herbicide which just kills off different weeds and such. But what it does is it's actually killing off the microorganisms in our soil. And so our soil, we're only as healthy as our soil is. Our soil has millions of microorganisms that are breaking down the nutrients in the soil for our bodies to absorb. And this includes the essential amino acids that we need for the building blocks of life. So glyphosate kills off that soil health. It's a water-soluble toxin, so it ends up in our air, our water, our rain, and all our rivers, our streams, all of the water cycles, and then it ends up in our gut microbiome. So not only does it kill off that soil health, it also kills off that diversity in our gut microbiome. And the gut microbiome diversity is so important because that's where our immune function is. 80% of our immune system is in our gut microbiome. And then 90% of the production of our serotonin, our happy hormone, happens due to that gut microbiome diversity, as well as 50% of our dopamine production. So if we don't have that gut microbiome diversity, we're not able to properly produce serotonin and dopamine. We're also not able to properly protect ourselves and our immune system. The other way that glyphosate impacts our gut microbiome health is it actually impairs the tight junctions in the gut, creating a leaky sieve, creating a leaky gut. So even within 20 minutes of exposure to glyphosate, and again, it's in our air, it's in our water, it's in our food, we're all exposed to it on a daily basis. And just within 20 minutes of exposure to glyphosate, we get leaky gut. And the reason that this is so important to address is because then toxins are leaking directly into our lymphatic system, into our immune system, overflowing into our blood system. And then the blood where it's not supposed to have these toxins and these particles, then it's able to transport into and cross that blood-brain barrier. So it's impacting our neurological health. And this is why we've seen a huge spike in neurodegenerative disorders since the introduction of glyphosate into our environment. So in the 70s, 1 in 5,000 children were impacted by autism. And today, 1 in 36 children are impacted. So this gut microbiome health and its impact on our immune system, the health of all of our organs, our neurological health is huge. And again, we talked about the importance of the lymphatic system. Getting into cellular regeneration means cleaning up the lymphatic system. And when our gut microbiome is leaking, we're getting this toxic overload spilled directly into our lymphatic system. And what that translates into is what we talked about at the beginning of the call, is acidosis. So acids at the extracellular level outside of the cells, and acids at the intracellular level. And acidosis inside the cell is when we start to see such things as degenerative conditions such as cancers. So the body is amazing. It has an ability to clean up inflammation. Acute inflammation is the body's way of healing and bringing blood flow and circulation to injuries so that they can heal. But chronic inflammation due to lymphatic congestion and chronic acidosis throughout the whole body, that's when the cells start to weaken and degenerate and impact every other function in the body. So we have the importance of cleaning up our lymphatic system, the importance of our elimination organs, because that's the elimination pathway for those lymphatic wastes and acids. We have the importance of getting alkaline nutrition in to neutralize those acids. And then we have the importance of the endocrine system, because if we're supporting our endocrine glands, I really think of it like we take our car to get maintenance, right? We get our oil changed and all of these things, but we need to have consistent maintenance and support in our own body. And supporting the endocrine system is something that is part of my daily maintenance. So we'll chat about how to do that. And then we have the gut microbiome and how that impacts the lymphatic system and the endocrine system. And next, I really just want to tie in this piece of soil health. So we talked about how glyphosate impacts the soil and impacts our own health. What we didn't get to talk about is what else that impacts is the nutrition level of our plants. So right now, less than 1% of the United States soil is deemed nutrient dense. And that's because of a few reasons. One, it's because of over farming. Two, it's monocropping. And three, it's the use of glyphosate and chemicals and pesticides that are killing off the microorganisms in the soil. And so what we're seeing is this deep level of depletion. And this includes at the cellular level. So the final piece of getting into cellular regeneration is working with cellular energy, cellular ATP. The ways our cells regenerate is by getting enough energy at the cellular level to repair damage, to eliminate wastes, to get rid of damaged cells. But it takes a lot of energy. And that comes back to that gut microbiome health. We have to be absorbing our nutrients so that our cells can properly utilize them. And B, we have to have that gut microbiome diversity so that the gut can communicate to the mitochondria of our cells. And the mitochondria of our cells are what are producing that cellular ATP or that cellular energy, which translates into tissue repair and elimination of those weaknesses and those wastes. So a few things that are really important for cellular energy is A, getting the body alkaline so that the cells can absorb nutrients. B, it's working with high energy foods. So you can tell after you've eaten whether you have more energy or less energy. So the foods that you're eating are going to impact that. And fresh fruits actually have the highest measurement of energy production in the body at the cellular level. And that's because it's directly absorbed into the cell wall through a process called cellular diffusion. And our cells need two things to really thrive. They need oxygen and they need simple sugars. And with those two ingredients, that's the gasoline or the fuel for our cells to be happy and healthy and thriving. So the more cellular energy we have, the more the body is going to go into tissue regeneration and repair. And the other amazing thing about cellularly energizing foods is they're alkaline forming. So those alkaline foods are going to buffer the acids, the inflammation. And when we have too much acids or inflammation in the body, the body breaks down, it degenerates, it gets weaker, it weakens the tissues, it weakens the glands, that endocrine system, it weakens the cells. When we get into that alkaline environment, the body goes into repair, rebuilding, regeneration, strengthening. So this is how I was able to regenerate my body, regenerate my spine, my brain, my nervous system, my organs, and fully get out of pain were through these simple principles. And what I love about this work is keep it fun, keep it simple. Like if you can get at least 80% alkaline nutrition into your body, you're going to start this process of regeneration. You're going to start this process of elimination of toxins from the body. And there's really only three things that cause and lead to chronic disease. One is overtoxicity. Two is undernourishment, the cellular starvation due to all the elements that we talked about. And three is genetic weaknesses. But genetic weaknesses only come from the previous two things that we talked about. And so genetic weaknesses can actually be strengthened and repaired and regenerated. So you can actually pass off stronger genetics than you received. And due to epigenetics, you can be changing your genetics on a daily basis just by what you're eating. So we're really passionate here in this community about sharing this education, because I wish this was taught in every single class, like from kindergarten up, because our bodies are amazing and they're self-repairing and self-healing. And all we have to do is give it the proper chemistry, and which then is going to impact our physiology and our physics. And so collectively as a community, we're here offering and providing solutions to get regeneratively grown foods in people's bodies so that we're actually absorbing those micronutrients. Because at the grocery store, we are not getting micronutrient dense food. It's very depleted due to the growing practices, due to the fact that it's picked early, due to the fact that it's shipped all over the world. But here we're working to get micronutrient dense foods that are grown in healthy soils that are wind dehydrated to preserve their enzyme content, which is another important piece of regeneration, which we'll get into on another call. And then it's shipped, it's picked, vine ripened, and then it's shipped straight to your door. And it's just such an easy solution to get all of your proper amino acids, to get your micronutrients, to get your whole food vitamins and minerals. And then we're working to detox glyphosate out of the body so that the gut can repair that natural biodiversity, which is so important for mood, so important for immune function, and then absorption and utilization of our nutrients, which leads to cellular ATP, that's cellular energy, which is what leads to repair, right? And then we're working with a tart cherry juice to get the kidneys filtering, because the kidneys are the elimination pathway for all cellular wastes and all lymphatic congestion. And lymphatic congestion is the number one reason that we see chronic disease, that we see tissues or glands or organs weakening. So cleaning up that lymphatic system, opening up that elimination channel. And then it's also supporting the body's own production of melatonin in order to restore and those deep sleep cycles, the REM sleep cycles, to restore those circadian rhythms. And so again, that's another thing that's really helpful to the endocrine system. Melatonin is produced by our pineal gland. So we're really working directly with that pineal gland and improving its health when working with this tart cherry juice. And then finally, we're working with eliminating different unhealthy microorganisms in the body, such as parasites. And again, what those do is we only have parasites when our body isn't properly breaking down the nutrients and properly absorbing them, because or if we have an overload of toxicity in the body. because parasites are the cleaner uppers. They're just cleaning up the mess. But we all have them. And so what we're doing is working to repair and restore those natural digestive processes so that the internal environment, the internal terrain is cleaned up, but also eliminating excess parasites out of the body, because what they do is they attach to the nervous system and impact our mood and our emotional well-being, but they also drain the body of that energy, of that vital cellular energy. And so we're cleaning that up. So really all the bases for like the foundations of health are covered. And we do it in community. We have an amazing, amazing community. Myself, as well as Carrie Tidwell, Carrie Drinkwine, Mary Beth, are all certified regenerative detox specialists. And we are there to host a group and that community support with 2 weekly health calls. So if you're interested in learning more about any of these concepts, from regenerative health to kidney filtration to soil health to micronutrient density, to getting these superfoods and this like protocol into your body, reach out to the person that invited you to this call, because we have an abundance of support and education and information. And our goal is, again, just to share solutions of what's possible in our own bodies, and also what's possible with not only repairing and regenerating our bodies, but repairing and regenerating the soil, because we're only as healthy as our soil, air, and water are. So thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to come here today. I am going to stay on for questions. So I'm just going to stop recording, but thanks for being here.